What's up, guys? It's Joe at National Sports Entertainment, and I wanted to go into tonight's NBA games and just recap the two college plays that I like, and just for the first couple videos, because we have new people obviously that might not know what happened, so I'm not repeating this stuff just to repeat it, and for people that are following along, and for myself personally, just a note to never give up, and we're going to keep plugging away. But obviously, I like to bring up, if you haven't seen the first video that I put out and it's your first video watching, I advise you to watch it. As I say, basically, we clean Vegas's clock on a nightly basis. We've been doing it, and they shut us down early. And I'm only bringing it up again because, like I said, there's going to be people that are watching for the first time saying, like, okay, like he's talking about old games, this channel just started. No, we started a little bit ago. This is just going back like a week and a half, and we started months ago, but we started back in September, and we've been winning money with our system. So anyway, I want to go into tonight's NBA plays. We did good last night. We closed a lot of sequences. We only have one leg three. That's because the Kings lost last night. And I was tempted to play them again, but for some reason, I like this play better. And we're going to play the Kings again, but I like Nova to cover UConn, and that's going to be leg three. So if Nova covers UConn, that entire sequence profits one unit. And that's how the system works, because I know a few people were asking. So I'll go deeper into that too. I'll do a video specifically on the system, since, again, everything I put out was wiped. But I just wanted people to get the NBA picks before the game dropped. And again, I only bring up, each video I've been bringing up the same thing about being wiped, because if someone new is watching, I want them to know, that's why I'm primarily doing it on Rumble now. And that's why we had to start over. You can watch my first video, though. It's the most informative on that. But I wanted to go into all the games. Nothing crazy. I did have one that changed because this line movement's very suspicious. But here I like the Magic. It's not one I love. Most of these are leg ones, by the way, which means one unit. It's not one I love, but I do think they have Banchero come back and look good after he got baptized by LeBron. Only put up 3 points. When that happens, this guy, obviously he was some kind of hazing ritual for LeBron, but they're going to have him look good, I think, tonight. So I like Magic there to cover. It's a point, but I like them on that. Here we got the Wizards, Suns, and Suns have done this all year. Now, they do have a lot of injured guys, okay? Look at them. Most of their starters are injured, and their backup, Payne. Now, they still got Ayton. They still got Mikal Bridges, and they still got guys who can shoot. They still have a good system. So, and the Wizards are banged up and not a great team. I think they're better than they're letting on. I think they're going to be a play-in team. I said from the beginning of the year the Knicks will be a playoff team and the Wizards will be a play-in team, just because of how much money was put into these teams. So I do think the Wizards cover here. I think more money will still be on Phoenix, even with these kind of injuries. Just because if it was the Pacers, I could see it, but not Washington. So I do like Washington to cover because I'm going to fade the public, and Magic to cover. Don't love those games, but I like them. This one, I have not played many Nets games or Hawks for a while, and I'll tell you why. Nets I was doing good with until Kyrie had his thing, and then it's like he paid some kind of penance, and first he was being punished, and then now they've been looking great. So I think they're going to make him look great this year. The question is, how do they look tonight? Well, I think Trae Young has to look good at home. They're trying to put him in club superstar, and with the fake injury of Booker, there's not a lot of guys in that tier. They got like the MVP tier, and then you got this drop-off. And so I think they want to establish guys like Trae. So Trae is really the only guy that's kind of in that category. They're also not too good against the spread. So with those two things combined, I do like Trae Young to cover this game in what could be an upset outright. A lot of people are going to be hot on the Nets who have been really looking good. Now this game, if it was flipped, if it was the Lakers giving 8, I would take them all day. Both suck against the spread, but the Heat are worse. We have a feeling LeBron won't be playing tonight. And it's on NBA TV after the Lakers looked really good against the Magic. who aren't a great team, but they're a young, hungry team. And the Lakers are banged up. They've been pushing this narrative that LeBron's carrying the Lakers. So I expect him to carry the Lakers until like the fourth quarter. They might even be winning. And that's when the younger Heat team is too much. And they just talk about how LeBron can't do it by himself. So I think the Heat cover. Again, when the Lakers cover, I think they're going to cover big. But they're probably going to be giving the points, giving 5, 6 points. It's hard to have them giving 8 because people understand they're such clowns. But the public's still on them. 90% of the public still has them in the playoffs, and I don't. So, I like the Heat between the metrics and everything to cover the 8 points there. This one, because I think it's a trap, I love the Bulls. I'm going to buy it to 3, just because I like having that half point. 3 points is a good safe one, I feel like. And I think having Drew out, they're going to explain how Giannis can't do it all himself. Very similar narrative to LeBron. They kind of pushed with Middleton like I've been expecting when he missed some time against the Celtics. But still, even though Celtics beat them, that's the best team in the NBA. I mean, people aren't going to see the Bucks lose one game to them and say, oh, the Bulls are going to win this game. So just because it's Giannis, I think people trust Giannis more than the Bulls. So I think this is a trap, and I'm going to buy a half point on the Bulls, and I like the Bulls here to cover that. This one I like the most if you're playing like a second leg. As I said, there's only one open sequence I have currently. There might be one more, but I'm playing the leg 3 for Villanova to cover UConn. But I'll go into that in a second. But I was just explaining, I like the Bulls a little more than some of these other games. Same with the Heat. Here I actually like the Wolves. I know it seems a little 6.5 seems a little generous. Public might even be on it. But I do think that they want to make these teams look like a lot of these teams in the West, like playoff matchups. So you can see they haven't played a game yet together against each other. And they play on again pretty soon, not about a month out. So I think they want it to be a gritty game. Alvarado probably gets under the skin of Edwards and gets under the skin of Russell, and they probably play well. But I think a lot of people are just writing off the Wolves as a trash team, a bunch of misfits, as I went over the other day. So I do like the Wolves to cover this game. This one, I liked the Jazz. I liked the Warriors. I said it yesterday in my video. They were 3.5. And then it moved to 4, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's just something small. And then it moved to 5, which means one of two things. A, it's a potential clip, or B, they're begging us to take the Warriors. In either case, we're probably better off taking the Jazz. So while I liked the Warriors because of the narrative and again, it's a 233 over-under. When this happened before, they moved it from 232 to 233. And I told somebody, I said, he's on my Discord, I said, they're probably going to score exactly 232. And they did. It was against the Grizzlies. Then last night, I recommended we buy half a point on the Warriors. And sure enough, they moved the line at the last minute to 5, and they won by 5. So I bought it down to 4 because it was 4.5 when I did it. But for other people, if they didn't buy the half point as I suggested, you might have pushed. I see a very similar story, but I see it reversed. But I like the Jazz here to cover. It's like they're begging people to take the Warriors. They just had a great performance at home, and they're moving the line from 3.5 all the way to 5. By game time, it might be 5.5. I mean, it's just a lot of points. Now it looks appealing to take the Warriors. So I love the Jazz now, but I'm going to buy it down to 4. I'm buying a whole point because that's a very tricky swing. If you want to buy a half point, you can, but I'm buying a point for the minus, about 125. It might be 130. To me, it's worth it because it moved too much, in my opinion, where they might be trying to clip people. But because it moved like that, I think the Jazz are a safe pick there. And on this one, I like the Kings. Nuggets just won. People are going to remember that. And a lot of times you will get back-to-back wins, but usually the underdog will do it because nobody's expecting that. Like when the Thunder beat the Clippers back-to-back. Or I think it was the Rockets, or a terrible team, did it with the Suns. And I've seen it a lot this year. The Blazers, who I think are a great team, but back when their record was, I think it was 17 and 15, like just a couple games ago. They played a team, I think it was the Suns as well, or the Grizzlies. I forget exactly who it was, but I follow a lot of these games, but the Blazers won back-to-back against a team not too long ago. And I think the Blazers are a great team. Going into this season, again, my videos were all white, but if you're following, you know that they're my pick to win, to represent, at least in the Western Conference Finals, along with the Clippers. But just because people are sleeping on them, they think it's just Dame. But my point is, with certain games, people just expect that it'll split. And with others, you get back-to-back where the better team or two even teams, and the other one the one team just wins both. In this case, I actually think it will split. And I think it's because people, with the underdog, like I said, they'll win back-to-back more because nobody expects that. So if the Kings had won last night, nobody would expect them to win again tonight. So I'd really love them tonight. But I still like them regardless because I think people are still saying, okay, it's basically the same matchup. They're at home again, and they're actually getting more favorable odds, -1.5 for Denver versus -3.5, or what I think it was 3.5 yesterday. So in this game, I like Sacramento because I think more are going to be on the Nuggets, and that's why yesterday they showed the Nuggets beat them, so people could put their money on the Nuggets tonight. And then just to recap, I do like most of these are leg ones. The ones I feel more confident on is the Heat and Bulls cover, and I do feel confident on the Jazz cover because of how they move that line. It's very fishy. And the Wizards does look like a trap. So I like a lot of them. Magic's kind of a 50-50, as is the Nets one. If you wanted to know the ones that I like the least to best, the Magic would be like the least. And I'd say probably the Bulls would be the one I like the most. Because a lot of people just want to know which ones I like the most. But speaking of what I like the most, this is personally my third leg of the Texas A&M loss, and I am playing Villanova to cover UConn. And right now it's at 12. I'm going to wait until like the last minute. It's a 6:30 game, and I'm going to lock it in because, again, UConn is 11-1 against the spread, and they're just not going to continue at that pace. But they match the spreads up to the ESPN spread. It's like the Associated Press spreads. So I want to make sure that spread's even with what I pick. But that's my biggest play today is Villanova to cover UConn. And then the only other college game I'm playing because I like the metric is I like the over here on Mississippi State, Alabama. I think it goes over 141. They actually moved it from like 139.5. So I'm going to buy it down to 140. I'm going to lock it now because they might even move it. Like I said, I do like the official metric. But if I can also save myself a point or two, I'm going to. So again, officially Mississippi State is 1-11 against on the over with the ESPN spread. I think that changes, and I think they go over. So I like the over 141, and you can see I already plugged it in. I got Nova here, and then I got Mississippi State here, and you see it's 138.5. So that's the thing. I if I had locked it in earlier, I would have saved myself some juice. I'm still going to buy it down. I'll probably buy it down 1.5. Actually, I'll just buy it down the point. But you can see it move, so that's the thing. It's not like you can just say, oh, well, lock it in early or lock it in late because you don't know which way it's going to move. But in this case, it moved against us. Other games moved in our favor. But you can see how that works. That's 2 units since the Spurs loss was 1 unit. And we just close out our sequences. So, for example, trying to find... Okay, we had Wisconsin cover. So, yeah, there's really no open sequences. We closed them all. We have these ones in play. So, all the other ones are going to be first sequences. So, there's no... when they're second, I can type them out and stuff, but... It's literally just going to be Magic cover, Wizards cover, Hawks cover, Heat cover, Bulls cover buying half a point to 3. I like the Wolves cover, Jazz cover buying it down to 4, and I like the Kings cover again. So that's all the plays. I want to get it out so you guys can play them all. And of course, don't forget Villanova to cover UConn. Going to make sure it's 12. Might buy it up to 12.5. But I think that 12 will be safe. I think it's going to be a closer game than people think. But again, wait for the official ESPN closing line on that one. And as far as the other college game, I do like the Mississippi State Alabama over. I'm going to do over 140 or probably 139.5 to be specific. I know it sounds minute, but trust me, sometimes that half a point makes a big difference. Sometimes it doesn't, but I'm going to do 139.5 on that over and probably buy up to 13 on the UConn. To me, it's just worth it. Some games, the juice isn't. But like I said, with Golden State, we've been over the target with knowing when they've been clipping, and that's why I'm buying it down to 4 there. And the Bulls just seems like it could be one of those right in the middle, so that's why I'm buying the half there. So I try and explain my reasoning, but I know a lot of you guys understand why I go about certain metrics. So I think we have another great day, especially with a lot of these plays, these narrative games. And I will be posting our later plays as well as we have Thursday coming up tomorrow. Dallas, Tennessee is going to be a good game. And we'll have more as well. So take care and happy earnings.